It is very important for everybody to know the real definition of politics. What is the relationship of politics with humanity? Once the kings being under the control of sages with enlightenment or with complete humanity would rule over the kingdom. So the politics or the ruling of that state is nothing but the impact or the manifestation of humanity. The sages were the embodiment of humanity, and the message, order, advice, and instruction were the qualities as well as the manifestation of humanity. The sages introduced the politics to that society to rule over the person in order and disorder and bring them in order. Disorder is the manifestation or action of inhumanity. It is quite natural for the mortal men and women to produce and manifest disorder. Impact of inhumanity is temporarily possible to be brought under control by governance in order. And when a king being under the impact of inhumanity or disorder ruled over the subjects they had misgoverned. Now it is clear that there are two forms of politics, one in order and another in disorder. The application of politics in order protects the humanity in society as well as in the state and law and order. Collective security and peace are sustained. Otherwise, the politics being applied in disorder, the peace, collective security, law, and order are broken down to pieces. And at the same time, humanity being evaporated turns into inhumanity. What is the present scenario of politics? The scope of politics has been extended to the largest. In the beginning, the end of the politics was to govern the disorder as disorder is practiced. The society, being out of disorder, comes into order automatically. Presently, the politics is performing a vital and important role to sustain the order in the state. At the same time, the international politics helps sustaining and developing. Primordially, the seven sages introduced the politics at the third stage of the journey of civilization. They introduced politics after sociology and economics had been set up because some people had not yet been obeying the two. So, to protect sociology and economics and socialize the disobedient by governing its work. In this state, those who had yet not complied with the two principles for fear of existential crisis fled into the deeper forest. They stayed as tribes, and their descendants are still living in several places on earth from the point of history. They had not accepted the educational system of the sages. A word should be remembered that the end of the education of five principles was to take all to humanity or consciousness about truth. Those who did not come to the humanity awakening education or tribes or non-aryan. In that state of civilization, those who came into the culture of five principles came into order and duty, and by order, some of them came to complete humanity. But later on, a new scenario of Aryan and non Aryan was beautifully observed in the society and state. Order and disorder were noticed in some people. That is the nature of tribes and non-Aryan turned into the people in a newer and, and an interesting form. They interruptedly began to obey the principles. They are the new form of tribes. Presently, the nature of tribes and non-Aryan is extremely boiling all over the world. The blackness is strongly active within the fair skin. A person cannot become a perfect citizen in spite of being with his identity cards. A citizen is he who is always in order and duty and perfectly comply with constitution of his state, and person who alternatively obeys is a non-Aryan, that is non-citizen. So, a leader who is always in order and duty is the leader of citizens and non citizens, but who is in order and disorder is that of the non citizens. A leader is he who always contains the six qualities: loyalty, equality, amity, dareness, effectiveness, and readiness. Similarly, a king is he who always contains kindness, impartiality, nationality, and goodness. Thus, a king is always influenced by humanity and the principles manifested by the king for the service to the subjects are the politics. Who is the subject? A subject is he who contains the seven qualities, namely subjugation to the constitution, unity, betterment, judgment, education, civilization, and truthfulness. What is needed for the subject from the king? Still, the king has to provide assurance of all kinds of protection, and for the non citizens, he will try to convey them to the sense of order and duty from disorder and non duty. Still, in the Tantra scripture, politics has been compared to the head of a tiger. Here, stands for thinking. The politics that is practiced all over the world is practiced in order and disorder. As it is beastly, so it has been compared to the head of a beast. Here, the subjects are thought as the deer. Politics is the head of a tiger, a message of Tantra scripture. So the royal ones run after the subjects as the calves deer. To rule over the disorder is the ethics of politics when it loses its order that turns into corruption. To protect the humanity in society is its beauty. To subdue the inhumanity, its duty. Repeated problems are nothing but the feature of the state and society. To solve them is that of work of the mighty. It is the influence of humanity. If that moves in order, it takes the form of inhumanity being laid in disorder. Human dear is very dear, being dear, spell of living is lost, life is laid in frost. O royal brother, listen, there is no other amity than humanity. Realizing this reality, practice your faculty. Once the affinity of truth must be attained in pain,